aren't making what you like, or if you've tried buying and selling stocks on your own and haven't done well, learn how to fix all that at Online Trading Academy. Online Trading Academy is an investment training center where pro traders show you how to invest online. Learn how pros make money in up, down, and sideways markets, and how they're protected from big losses. Instructors are certified, currently trade, and profitable. Over 500,000 students have experienced the education at Online Trading Academy. Take a free half-day workshop to see what it's like. Online Trading Academy. At this workshop, you'll see the big mistakes many investors make when buying or selling stocks. This will change how you think about investing. See what it's like. Call Online Trading Academy now. Call 954-668-2510, 954-668-2510. That's 954-668-2510.
What is the Del Walmsley Radio Show?
Welcome to the Del Walmsley Radio Show, where the hype ends and the help begins. I'm your host, Del Walmsley, and as always, we're working on your financial freedom.
Listen to the Del Walmsley Radio Show, Mondays at 5, Tuesday through Friday at noon on WNN. Seniors, open enrollment is here. I Will Advisors is here to offer you an unbiased comparison of all your Medicare health insurance options. I Will Advisors specialize in educating Medicare beneficiaries on every available option to ensure you make the right choice for your needs. Call us directly at 954-753-8080. 954-753-8080.
A bad back, heartburn, low libido, stiff joints, not sleeping well, got allergies, need to lose weight? If you want to feel better, please tune into my Health Talk show, Sunday mornings at 10, the Dr. Bob Martin Show, on Talk 1470 WNN.
What you want to know. What you need to know. Talk 1470.
And not necessarily those of this station, its staff, management, or sponsors. AMP2.TV presents Tell Us Your Business, where you're invited on the air to tell us what makes your business stand out in the community. It's important we hear from you to tell us all we need to know about what you do best. Tell Us Your Business uses the latest radio and television production systems, and all shows can be seen on AMP2.TV. If you have a question for our guest, call 888-565-1470. Now, let's get ready as our guest hits the airwaves and informs us about what we need to know on Tell Us Your Business.
Good evening, everybody. This is Tell Us Your Biz, and we are here today to introduce to you our medical team, our medical tour. We are all not doctors, however, we are in the medical field, and I just want to quickly give you a disclaimer that this has all not been evaluated. These statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. But we are expressing things that we know, that we've learned, and that we've seen in our clinic working with our patients. So I'm really excited to have this fabulous team here today. I will go around the room, and I'll start with Gus. Would you like to introduce yourself, please?
Hi, I'm Gus Barney with Vibrational Health LLC, and I'm the creator of Life Force Elixir, among other things.
Wonderful. And Kathy?
Hi, I'm Kathy Cather, and I'm a co-founder of Parallel Profile. We do genetic testing to match medications to your DNA.
Wonderful. And Tatiana?
Hi, I'm Tatiana Palladian, and I practice hypnosis, NLP, and also breath work.
Wonderful. And I'm Leslie Carmen, and I'm the founder of Carmen Care Laser, and we've been in Boca Raton for 7 years, and we do laser therapy for pain. So when we opened up our clinic, we used lasers only at the time in 2013 to treat acute, chronic, and severe pain. And we were getting very good results. About 80% of our patients were recovering from these painful conditions that they had. However, there were some groups of people that weren't getting better. And I was just wondering, why weren't these people getting better? What is causing them to not get better when other people in different same ages and same groups of people were getting better? There was just no rhyme or reason. So I started digging around, and I met all you wonderful people and found that, you know what, there are other things that can actually cause us not to heal. And that's why I'm so excited to have you all here, because this is really a group that can take healing to a whole other level. So let's ask a couple of questions to each individually. basically pain. What do you think? I'll start with you, Tatiana. Pain, do you believe that it can be an emotional pain, so that a physical pain can actually be coming from an emotional issue?
Definitely. Based on my own personal experience and working for the last 15 years or so with other people, I believe behind every physical discomfort, there is actual emotional discomfort. Again, being able to work on myself with other healers and working on my clients, when we identify the discomfort in the body and we take that to the first time, I just guide the person back to the first time they had a similar feeling, it always connects to an emotion. Something happened sometimes in the past that there was an emotion connected to it, and it's just kind of trapped in the body. And it causes also thoughts that goes with it, and those thoughts keep creating the discomfort in the body, and it kind of goes in a circle. And once the person becomes aware of it and it goes back to the first time this happened, they're able to look at it differently and make a different decision. So I don't heal them, obviously, but I bring to them information and guidance to help them look at where it began and what is the experience they had back then, and be able to give it a different meaning to it and just kind of turn it around and look at it differently. One of my favorite speakers, healers, Dr. Wayne Dyer, would say, change the way you look at things. The things you look at change.
Right.
And that is so true.
Yeah.
So yes, definitely. If there is a physical discomfort, there is there is an emotional discomfort.
And so many patients have come to me and they've been chronically sick, and they go to their doctors over and over, and at one point the doctor says, you know what, it's all in your head. And I always think, it's a really not a very nice way to say that, although possibly, I mean, that's kind of what they mean, right? But it's not a very nice way to say that it's all in your head. But there are just emotional triggers that can, trigger a pain, like a memory, right? A memory will suddenly trigger a painful memory, and then you develop this pain that you have.
It's very true, because every doctor out there, their best intention is to help their patient, and they do everything they can in their ability to help the person. And if they've tried everything on the physical side and medication and physical therapy and everything else, and the patient's still feeling that same discomfort, it is really in their head. Yes, maybe we can choose to say it a little bit differently.
Right.
But also, people are getting used to hearing that. I get more and more people saying, oh, I guess it is all in my head. It is, because...
I mean, is it really in your head? It starts in your head.
It starts in your head.
But what happens is this, the physiology of our bodies is we start putting in so many emotions, okay? Mm-hmm. And we suppress and repress these emotions. And we use our bodies to stuff one emotion after another.
We're storing it in our body.
And after a while, like an envelope, that you stuffed too many letters, it breaks at the seam.
Exactly.
Okay? So the anxiety that we provide, the depression that we have, the PTSD, all of these things that we keep sticking in, we seem to cook in our own juice. So what happens is this, eventually something breaks.
Yes.
And it comes up in pain. Yes. I mean, for me, I power lifted as a kid. And what happened? I boxed first, and then I went to powerlifting. And now I have suffered, some, in a couple of discs, I have suffered a little bit of arthritis. But I'm also on an age that, these things happen. Now, I can tell you that Leslie's work with the lasers work. Just, what was it, the day before yesterday, I was put into a system where, all this heat is running through my back and also my shoulder, because I have a chronic shoulder injury. Mm-hmm. And that felt better. Today, when I went and did some tricep work, I had nothing going on. I wasn't lifting that heavy, but I wasn't lifting that light either. And, when you reach a certain age, you cut back on the weights because your joints are drying up a little bit. So we have to pay attention to all these variables. We can only stuff so many emotions. And that's why, we have to decompress. That's why your work is very good, and Leslie's work is very good, and it's all done together. And this product is very good for that. We are here to create a homeostasis, a place where the body can go and regenerate itself.
It is body and mind, and it really goes together. It starts as a thought, so it is in our head, because whatever it is happened way back years ago. So the thought comes in the head. The thought affects the body, as you said, because it is an emotion. Hormones go through our body based on the thought that we have. Then the body feels it. And if we don't stop it here, and we keep going on and on and on, no matter how much medication we take, it's not going to help. So at that point, as you said, it has already started affecting the body. So that's why we need the help from the laser. We need the help from the right nutrition. We need the help to realize where is it starting and change that. So exactly.
Yeah.
That's why it works, all of us getting together.
And as you both mentioned, the medication, that's where Kathy and her company comes in, because you work with parallel profiling. And what that is, I'd like you to explain that quickly. What is that exactly?
Okay, it's really simple. It's like ancestry genetic testing. You just take a swab and put it in your gum, rub it around, put it in a tube, mail it to the lab, and 10 days later, you get a list of all the genetic variants that you have. We all have them. 100% of the people, out of 120,000 people that have had this test done in our lab, 100% of them have at least one genetic variant. In fact, it's really kind of typical to have quite a few. So, for example, I have 15, and my 15 variants have an impact on 82 different drugs. Out of the 1,000 drugs in the panel, there's 82 that I don't respond to typically, right? And I'm very typical in the number that I don't respond to typically. So in the psychiatric field, especially when you're talking about anxiety and depression and those kinds of things, it's especially true that people will typically go through try a number of different drugs. Right? And if this, let's give this one 6 weeks. And if you don't feel better, then we'll take a look at trying something else. And what we can do is just be able to say, don't bother trying these two.
Yeah.
Let's just go straight to this one.
And that's a good point, because, I went to Venezuela, and I did get some parasites. And I was at the Scarsta Medical Clinic, and, you think you're getting the best treatment there is. And the doctor prescribes a drug. And I'm still losing weight, because the drug's not working.
You're not making this sound really horrible.
Right. No. Yeah, I don't want to tell you what was really happening. But then I go back, and he puts an X through the medication and prescribes another medication.
Moves on to the next one.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then I come back 3 weeks later, makes an X through there. After 4 crossing overs, which I'm saying at this point you must be guessing. So let's go somewhere. There was a clinic in Manhattan,
guessing,
in 72nd Street, where they are able to take a little stool sample. They do this. Here's a pill. They give you the pill, and the problem was over. 4 months of dealing with, and 40 pounds later, having lost 40 pounds.
There's actually a couple of things going on there, probably. One of them is which one's going to work for you. And by the time you got there, you'd already crossed out 4. So that increased their chances of getting it right. But the other thing is, I do a lot of international travel, and I find that sometimes I come back with something that they've never seen before. They've seen something like it, so they think it's something else. And, that doesn't work. And that has happened to me, where I call where I've been and said, hey, do you got anything like this down there? They're like, oh, yeah, it's this. I go, what do you do for it? And they tell me, and I tell the doctor. It's not everybody's seen everything. But I will say that it's typical for people to vary in their response to antibiotics, to anesthesia. These people who wake up, that's scary stuff. You want to know if that's going to happen. There's a lot of different ways.
Yes, and I think this really needs to be explained, and you need to share this on all the radio stations and everywhere, because this is, I believe, the key. Because the thing is, when we have patients and they come in with a list of medications, I look at it and I just shake my head and I'm like, oh, this is just horrible. Because the numbers are scary. Every day, 350 people, I think it is, die due to properly prescribed medications.
That's like equivalent
a
to
jumbo jet.
A plane crashing every day. That's how many
and we're
people.
not we're not against the pharmaceutical industry or against medication.
No.
We need medication. I always say this: if I'm hit by a cardiac arrest or a stroke, thank you for everything you do. But we're talking about chronic illness, and we're talking about understanding the body's own metabolism. How do you metabolize a specific medication?
Right.
That's what needs to be addressed.
Well, and you know how you see ads on TV, don't take this if you're allergic to it. And you're like, I don't know I'm allergic to it until I take it.
Right.
The side effects, you don't know.
Yeah. So, but the thing is, I do know if you get taken in for that car accident, you have a wallet card with a list of. I have a wallet card with a list of 82 drugs that I'm not going to respond normally to. Right?
Yep.
And there's hundreds of other choices. It just narrows it down so that they don't go, oh, look, we found out you have a problem with this one.
It's a big help, actually, for the doctors and
Sure.
paramedics. That's really what it is. We're basically helping the doctors.
Well,
to
it's
help
like
the
having
patients.
having a bracelet to tell them
Yes.
that you're a diabetic
Allergic
or
to penicillin.
yeah, or penicillin or what have you.
Yes.
Yeah.
And for those that are taking a lot of medications, like once we were introducing this parallel profile into our clinic, I right away did my mom first, and you were kind enough to immediately call us, I think after just 3 days, and saying, Leslie, this is a huge issue. Your mom is taking 3 things that are really bad, that are actually dangerous. You need
take together.
To take together. You need to call her doctor immediately. And the problem is she's seeing like about 8 different doctors.
Right.
And unfortunately, they're not communicating.
And they're not communicating, but even if they were, if you're a gastroenterologist, you don't know anything about thyroid medicine or diabetes medicine. If you're a cardiologist, you don't know anything about stuff for RA or pain. It's just not your area of expertise. So even if you saw the name of the drug, it wouldn't necessarily ping you, right? So one of the things when, the average person over 65 is on over a dozen drugs. The average person over 70 is on 18.
I know, but that
It's
is
too
the
many.
sad truth. That's way out of control.
Well, and it's
and,
what
and
we
I
ca-
got to tell you, I don't agree with that.
Well-
and there's ways. I mean, this is where prevention is where it's at.
Well-
get here sooner rather than later.
Absolutely, but the other thing that happens is every time you take a drug,
need
you can
another
have
one.
a side effect that can present as a new condition, as a new illness, as a new
Correct.
problem, and then you get a drug for that.
Well, that's the whole
And
thing.
that's what they call
this
the
is where
yeah.
this is where
That's the
problem.
cascade.
That's the cascade. But I understand what you do, and I can agree to a certain extent. I haven't been inside of a hospital in 43 years. I've never been sick to the point where I've had to do that. I have not had to be on any medication.
You're a perfect example because we have a patient on our database who was on no medications, and we see that probably 15 to 20% of the time. The person's currently not taking anything, but they just want to know for the future because their husband had a problem or their mother had a problem. For me, my journey started when my mother had a really bad adverse effect from a blood thinner, and she had a brain hemorrhage and was in a coma. So,
and I do have to agree with you at
so-
certain points because we have a significant amount of population that hasn't yet been able to move enough into the holistic field where they absolutely need help. And I think that your program.
Well,
is
and they
where
don't
it's
know.
at.
They don't know whether, a lot of people don't do something like what you offer till they have a wake-up call.
Well, they're
and-
they're
and-
hurting
and
them.
yes,
We should
and
be
s-
proactive.
It's coming to a point that more and more people are learning about it. So, for example, my mother, my mother's age, I should say, and maybe grandparents, they're so used to just going to the doctor and getting a medication.
Right.
But I know my father tells me sometimes, he said that I remind him of his mother because his mother always used some natural remedies. Because every time my dad or brother or friend calls, I say, oh, have you done this herb? Have you done
Did you
this?
try
Have you done
that?
meditation? Of course, yoga. And my dad always says, so there was a time that people knew how to use all the natural remedies around or use their body and the movement, so it was different. And then we moved on to a point where, oh, just go to the doctor and get prescription.
And the problem with that, let me explain to you.
Yeah.
Well, before you explain, if we can explain when we come back, we have to go to commercial break.
Okay.
Yes.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. So if you would like to call in, please call 1-888-565-1470. Call in with any questions. We'd love to answer them for you, and we will be back right after this break.
Let's all welcome a new sponsor to the show. It's AMP2 TV, the first and only internet production company that's truly plugged in. When you're looking for a full-service internet TV radio production company, discover AMP2 TV, a full-service production company that can provide all streaming videos in studio or remotely. They offer web page development, and they use all the latest platforms to help make all your business selling points more powerful. They can do remotes or live radio streaming as well as tape productions for social media platforms and television. AMP2 TV can handle all of your television needs, including closed caption for a perfect on-air telecast. Choose from a variety of creative TV and radio packages or visit one of their many studios to get your creative juices flowing. Come and see why AMP2 TV works with many major companies, including Comcast, Bravo, and Fox 29, as well as individuals and businesses of all types and sizes. To see samples of their work or to find out more, visit their website at amp2.tv. That's A-M-P, the number 2.tv, or call them at 866-224-5422. Feel free to call for a quote or just a consult of how to put your business on a social media platform or radio platform, or just doing a show that is covered by all platforms. Call 866-224-5422 and make an appointment. That's 866-224-5422.
If a tree falls in the woods and no one is around to hear it, does it make a sound? Have you ever felt that your voice goes unheard? And you think that you can make a difference if only someone would just listen? It's time for women in business to have a place to step into your power, a platform to embrace your hopes, dreams, and your visions, a voice to heal and restore. Your voice can make a difference. We have the platform to share your story and let your voice be heard. Be kind to yourself. Give yourself the chance to be heard and shine bright. Contact New Dawn Media by texting CAFE to 80800. That's CAFE to 80800.
You are listening to Tell Us Your Business, where our invited guests share all the knowledge of their business and how important it is what they do in our community. If you want to be part of the conversation, call into the show at 888-565-1470 and tell us what's on your mind. Now, back to Tell Us Your Business.
Good evening again. This is Tell Us Your Biz. We continue with the question that we left off with Gus. You were going to answer the question.
Well, I really believe we really got to dig down to prevention before you really get sick. Go and take a look what's going on with you. Go to somebody that is evidence-based functional medicine. And we are here, we do the best that we can to be functional and to provide the right help before anything starts to happen. You don't want to be on the slide side, if at all possible. I have not been in a hospital in 43 years, and that's because I had an operation, but had nothing to do with calcium deposits taken out of my bone. But I have never been sick to the point where I've had to go, anywhere. I have not been in antibiotics since the 1990s. And just, 2 years ago, I was told you have to be on these antibiotics. I refused them. Nothing happened to me. So a lot of what I worry mostly is the amount, and knowing as many doctors as I do, the amount and as many doctors as I've passed through my manufacturing plant, that there is so many errors today. You are safe if you are into prevention, no matter what your insurance is. I mean, I've got friends that are in their 30s and they're spending $2,000 a month on medical insurance so that they can feel safe for them and their two, small children. And the truth of the matter is, if you don't do prevention, with medical errors becoming the second leading cause of death, because the doctor only has minutes to diagnose you. The doctor is tired. They're working long hours. They can't keep up with their charts. This is what we have in healthcare today. And, they've said, okay, Obamacare has made it that we have to go very, very fast. But very, very fast means a lot of errors. And they're human beings just like us. And they're on antidepressants. They're on anxiety medications. They're on blood pressure medication. Take a look in their eyes and see how many medications that your doctor is on. That's what worries me about where we're going in this country with illness. So prevention is really where it's at. We really have to move forward in prevention. That's how you're safe. It's not your insurance that's ever going to make you safe. I don't care if you have $10,000 a month of insurance. It's prevention, staying from being sick, that makes you healthy.
So with that prevention, that's a great point, Gus. So with prevention, we have Jeanette here.
Hello.
Hello, Jeanette. Thank you for joining our team. And we met about a month ago, and meeting you has been an absolute blessing as well to our clinic and to our patients. So tell our listeners what you do.
I do live cell analysis. My title is bionutritionist, because I actually am able to show people what's going on inside through just a little drop of blood, and then help them with their diet and detoxing and various things through your clinic that we can do to help correct anything that might be there.
So the prevention part I loved when we looked at the blood, and we saw the cells, right? We saw the cells and we saw the flow of the cells.
That's right, circulation.
Right, and then you saw that parasites, so we can actually take something for the parasites or to get rid of them.
Yes.
Then you also saw something that was quite interesting. You were saying that there were a possibility of blood clots. So that was really important.
Yes, there's quite a lot of things that we see just that are the root causes of disease. So we try to eliminate them from the body. Blood clots being, of course, a major contributor to disease. Heavy metals, plaque overgrowth, liver congestion or toxicity, really. It's kidney toxicity, digestive problems, or colon toxicity. There's a lot of things that we can help mitigate long term.
Yeah, and it's so fascinating because you just we prick the finger, just take a little bit of blood, put that in a little glass, look under your microscope, and you're like, wow, this is so fascinating.
It's a whole nother world.
It's a whole other world. And what I loved most is, if I can share this story, my daughter was vaping, and I read and heard a lot on Facebook that vaping is just really a disaster. It's like worse than smoking cigarettes, and you get these popcorn lungs, and I've just been so upset about that. So when I heard about you and that you could see the free radicals, right?
That's right, yes.
So I said, you know what, my first patient is going to be my daughter Lee. I want you to see her blood. And then she looked at it herself, and you were showing her a chart, and you said, about 1/3 of her cells were free radicals.
That's
Is that
right.
correct?
You can actually see it. And
You
so
can see it.
It's not guesswork. All I'm doing is helping facilitate somebody to get familiar with what's going on inside of them.
So what does that really mean, 1/3 of the cells are free radicals?
That's damaged cells.
Damaged cells.
Every free radical is a little chemical droplet. And one gets on the receptor, which are receptors are outside the cells. They pull either bacteria or virus or hopefully vitamins and minerals into the cell. And if and free radicals sit on those receptors quite comfortably, and they get pulled in, and you get to see that. You can see cells that have how badly damaged they are, because you can count the little droplets.
Yeah. So
And
I would recommend all parents to call us and get that test done, because as a mom, right? As a mom, you say, okay, don't smoke, sweetie. Don't do your vape. It's not good for you. Yeah, whatever. But then when your child sees it for themselves, my daughter's now been 6 weeks not smoking anymore or vaping.
And my second cousin, also, he's 14 now, and he was vaping and saw this. And then we put him on a kidney cleanse, and so many stones out of a 14-year-old.
Wow.
He actually dropped stones out of his kidney and gallbladder for 12 hours.
Unbelievable.
And was vaping.
Wow.
So that's all toxicity.
Absolutely.
It's not just free radicals, which he had.
Yep.
But those chemicals try to get filtered through the kidney and the liver, and then you've got a toxic problem there too.
Exactly. So it's so important to understand that health is really not just one thing, right? It's literally understanding what are you putting in your body medication wise. What are you doing? What are you putting in for something good like nutrition and supplements, and that needs to be high quality. Then what's going on in your body anyway, what's happening, what can I do? And then the emotional part, and then the laser. We've seen a couple of studies that they say with the opiate addiction that we have now, laser therapy actually works better than pain medication. So our goal is to, let everyone know this, and also maybe in hospitals so that they introduce laser therapy sessions so that we would do that after surgery instead of giving opioid.
Wow.
That would be, a fabulous test to do.
Right.
And it would be just wonderful to introduce everything. So before you go into surgery, let's look at the cells and the health cell, Let's test what would you react. What do you react to?
When you go into surgery, they're going to give you anesthesia.
Yeah, you better know that
you're probably going to have antibiotics and sometimes pain pills, but also some others. When my husband had his open heart surgery, they prescribed 8 medications for him at discharge. And
I'm sure he could have done with a lot less.
Well, he ended up stopping one of them because it put him into ICU and was really, he was in very critical condition, and stopped that one drug, and he recovered very quickly. But had I not been there and had I not recognized it, because the doctor did not recognize it in this case because he'd never seen it happen before. He'd never seen anybody have that problem before. So it didn't occur to him that that's what was going on. They thought it was something in him, maybe in his mind, I don't know. But no, they didn't recognize it. But it again, it can happen 100 times a day. But there's thousands of doctors, and so they may not have that experience. Very shortly after that happened, the FDA put out a black box warning on that drug for the reaction my husband had. So I know that thousands of people had it, and I also know that his wasn't reported. So when you look at how many are reported, 128,000 a year are reported, but his wouldn't have been reported because it wasn't recognized.
There was one drug that my mom was on. It was called Boniva, if I'm allowed to mention that. I think it's off the market now, so I'm safe to mention it. And what happened was she went into nearly an anaphylactic shock, but she was still around, but it was just she was in a terrible state. And we brought her to the emergency room, and we went through all the pills, but we couldn't find it. And she was just sick and sick and sick, and we had to go back and forth. We went about 3 times until we figured out, wait, I took Boniva, but this was a one pill that you take and then you throw it away. So she didn't think of it. It wasn't in her pill box. So it took us weeks until we realized. And I called in to them and I told them, listen, this is what happened. They said, well, we recommend your mom not take this anymore. I was like, really?
That's a good idea.
That's a good idea. Well, but they're off the market now because too many people had a reaction.
Yeah, well, and that happens. And that's one of the concerns anytime there's a new medication. It takes a number of years. I generally, at least 5, sometimes 10, for the long-term effects to be documented.
And some of these drugs are approved very, very quickly. So you have an issue. I mean, I understand about heart disease because my father did also have open heart surgery, a triple bypass, and he did have a heart attack at my age. So did my grandfather. So did my other grandfather. So all of that runs in the family. But you know, you can stop all of that. It's called epigenetics. I don't have any of those issues. You know, and it's my lifestyle is different. My thought process is different. You know, and that all makes a world of difference. And that's where we have to go. This is one of the reasons why I wrote the book, Relationships, Functional versus Dysfunctional. Because we're in so many dysfunctional things that we can't, you know, we don't understand. We don't communicate well. We don't, our response is we have a response of not understanding. We are actually communicating from a beta state of mind, which is not the proper state of mind to communicate. We should be communicating from an alpha state of mind, where we're relaxed, we got cognition, our left and right hemispheres of the brain are working together in conjunction, but we tend to, as human beings, not do that. We let the animal brain take over, and we move forward in that way. So, but we can change all of these things, and really prevention is where it's at. I mean, I have in my family a heavy metal toxicity issue. Well, Leslie has been able to help me with that. Just the other day I was on there, and at times I see everybody in my family shake. I mean, my mother shakes like this, you know. My cousins, my sister.
I have to ask you, what drugs is she on?
No, my mother, believe it or not, my mother is going to turn 87 in January, okay? And up until last year, she was riding a bicycle and moving furniture, even heavy stuff, plants, that her grandchildren didn't know who picked that stuff up. And it was her doing all of that stuff. So we can stay healthy. My mother, for the most part, has been very healthy, is still strong, suffered an injury in her arm that has debilitated her a little bit. But we can. It's a mind, matter, physical presence situation. So it's mind, body, and spirit.
Yeah, and see, my mom, on the other hand, also 87, also doing well. And aside from the whole coma, was, pretty healthy. But she, travels a lot and all that. Anyway, she got TB, which is on the rise, right? And her doctor didn't recognize it because, it's back, but it was gone for a long time. And so she ended up being on 8 antibiotics, which is the standard protocol for the state of Minnesota's public health department. And it was just, she went from fine to all of a sudden huge problem.
There's so much TB that's antibiotic resistant. Is that the one she's on? That she got? She was on the one. I'm not even really sure if it was if it was. Wouldn't have given her
She was treatment resistant. But what we did is we went in. I flew in, checked, and we changed the protocol, and she recovered quite well. Not everybody. They had a standard protocol for everybody. And I'm like, this one isn't good for her, and this one isn't good for her, and we don't know about these two, but considering the consequences she's having from, she was unable to get out of bed. The public health nurse who came to the house at least weekly had never seen her out of bed, had never seen her made up. I was there for a week. He came. She answered the door, greeted him. "Oh, hi, how are you?" And he goes, "Is Rosemary here?"
I didn't even recognize her.
Did not recognize her. And he looked at me and I go, I know you never met this woman, but this is who this woman really is. And look what your protocol did to her. You can't give the same protocol to a 35-year-old man and an 87-year-old woman. And he said, well, but if you change the protocol the way you've done it, she's going to have to be on it for a year instead of just 6 months. And I'm like, I don't think she's going to make it a year on that protocol. I really don't. And they were perfectly happy to change it. When I requested it, they had no problem changing it. Mm-hmm. So, but she didn't question it. She just tolerated it.
Okay, what happens is this, okay. You have a 20-year-old woman coming in to the medical doctor, okay? It's okay that the medical doctor is taking 10, 12 minutes because more than likely she doesn't have any drugs or she has maybe one drug. and that's it. Now somebody your mother's age comes in at 87 years of age and they get the same exact amount of time. How could you possibly diagnose somebody at age in 10 minutes that's taking a dozen drugs or more?
Yeah, well, and after we did the testing with her, she's down to 2.
Right.
So she went from a dozen to 2. My husband went from 11 to 3.
And that's wonderful.
You know, but when someone, you know, when a doctor tells you to take the drug, you take it.
The problem is we give way too much overpower to somebody with a white coat.
Well, I don't know about that, but I would say that the trouble is that we're over medicating. And I think all the powers of being in the medical conferences and, you know, even in big pharma conferences, I hear it from them saying, you know, this polypharmacy cascade is a problem because none of these drugs are tested in combination with 9 others.
Correct.
Right? Each one of them can be safe, and yeah, they know about the interactions, but when you add a 4th one, you know, all bets are off exactly what's going to happen. So, you know.
You cannot become a chemical experiment.
Yeah.
Well, with that, we have to go to break again. Okay. Alrighty, so we will be right back. If you have any questions, please give us a call at 1-888-565-1470.
You're back in.
She's not off yet.
Let's all welcome a new sponsor to the show. It's AMP2 TV, the first and only internet production company that's truly plugged in. When you're looking for a full-service internet TV radio production company, discover AMP2 TV, a full-service production company that can provide all streaming videos in studio or remotely. They offer web page development, and they use all the latest platforms to help make all your business selling points more powerful. They can do remotes or live radio streaming as well as tape productions for social media platforms and television. AMP2 TV can handle all of your television needs, including closed caption for a perfect on-air telecast. Choose from a variety of creative TV and radio packages or visit one of their many studios to get your creative juices flowing. Come and see why AMP2 TV works with many major companies, including Comcast, Bravo, and Fox 29, as well as individuals and businesses of all types and sizes. To see samples of their work or to find out more, visit their website at amp2.tv. That's A-M-P, the number 2.tv, or call them at 866-224-5422. Feel free to call for a quote or just a consult of how to put your business on a social media platform or radio platform, or just doing a show that is covered by all platforms. Call 866-224-5422 and make an appointment. That's 866-224-5422.
If a tree falls in the woods and no one is around to hear it, does it make a sound? Have you ever felt that your voice goes unheard? And you think that you can make a difference if only someone would just listen? It's time for women in business to have a place to step into your power, a platform to embrace your hopes, dreams, and your visions, a voice to heal and restore. Your voice can make a difference. We have the platform to share your story and let your voice be heard. Be kind to yourself. Give yourself the chance to be heard and shine bright. Contact New Dawn Media by texting CAFE to 80800. That's CAFE to 80800.
You are listening to Tell Us Your Business, where our invited guests share all the knowledge of their business and how important it is what they do in our community. If you want to be part of the conversation, call into the show at 888-565-1470 and tell us what's on your mind. Now, back to Tell Us Your Business.
Well, hello again with Tell Us Your Biz. I hope you're having a very safe ride if you're on the street and driving home. And you're listening to us. Hope you're having a good time. Again, please call in if you have any questions. This is our last segment, so you can get to us and ask any questions that you have. So I'm just going to go back quickly to Jeanette. We were talking about the antibiotics before, and as far as I know, when you take too many antibiotics, that can really mess your gut up and so forth, and you can develop candida. And I think that's something that we can see as well. Is that right?
Oh, yes. Yes, it looks like little bubbles, little faded white bubbles that accumulate together because it's sticky. It has a fiber outside. It takes the fiber you eat and creates a netting around itself so that the white blood cells, when the brain says we have an invader, and they send the white blood cells out, the white blood cells are in the neighborhood, but they can't see it because of that netting.
Camouflage.
Camouflages, yep.
And then, and then that, I don't mean to, of course, Candida suppresses the immune system and is so debilitating in a lot of undermining ways that aren't easily identified. But for me, the biggest risk that Candida gives is that that fiber becomes sticky and allows platelets to start sticking to it, and before you know it, you have a blood clot.
Wow, so that's interesting. So you see that as well under the microscope then, right?
Yeah. You can see the degrees or the ages of a blood clot, if it's mature, if it's young.
So when you see those things, what do you suggest? Do you have supplements that people can take then?
I do have all plant-based supplements formulated by a doctor, and they actually work with the body. A lot of products, especially if we're talking about Candida, there are a lot of products that cause a toxic reaction for the die-off. But our formula actually works with Candida. It works with the immune system to do it very naturally, so there is no toxic reaction. And people can feel that die-off. People can feel parasites dying.
Mm-hmm.
It creates a mood swing. It creates.
I've heard about that.
It's there's a book called "This Is Your Brain on Parasites."
Right.
It talks about how the parasites in your body take over your brain and.
So what happens when you have that die-off? You get like anxiety, depression? What happens?
One? The Candida or the parasite?
Both. Well, give us an example for both.
Well, if you're using our products, Candida shouldn't have you shouldn't have any reaction to the Candida, and it should help you crave sugars less and less.
Nice, I like that.
Until you get rid of the Candida, you won't stop eating.
So Candida makes you want sugar?
So does parasites. They love the same environment.
And so many people like sweets, and they're actually feeding that, so they're getting worse. And then if they, for example, they feel depressed or tired,
that's when you go to the chocolates.
Or they take medication that is not actually helping. As a child, I was given so much antibiotics, and that really messed up my digestion system, my stomach. It was in the older age, just studying these things and nutrition, is I found out about it. So,
well, and I think the science has advanced so much in this area. How they think they really react and what's really going on. I when I was a child, we were traveling internationally. I got a tapeworm, and I'm happy to say that they don't treat it the way they used. They didn't really starve the tapeworm. They just starved me, because they misunderstood at the time what the tapeworm was going to but what I really needed to do was eat more of that, so there was enough for both of us. They were trying to, so that was fun. So I'm really happy to hear that there's other other things to do, because it was crazy.
I talked to somebody, a client of mine came for hypnosis, and I can't remember what was it we were talking about, but she said, well, I take steps, prevention. I said, well, what do you do? I do a yearly checkup. And I said, well, what do you do? So when you do the checkup, you know you're healthy, your body's good. And she had no answer. To me, that's the prevention. Eating right, moving your body the right way, maybe having the blood test, having this.
Well, and it's a shame, but they've misnamed screening.
Yes.
They've called it preventive care when it's screening. It by itself doesn't prevent anything.
Yes.
Right, and that's
just a warning system, which I think is valuable. Don't get me wrong.
Yes, it's very
but
important.
it it makes people misunderstand.
Because I say, what can I do? So when I go for that yearly checkup, I get an A.
Yes, exactly.
Not give me a list of pills.
I like it when I go in for my checkup and the doctor goes, "What have you been doing?"
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, one of
I
the
changed my diet.
people that I work with, she asked me to take a screening of her because everything was coming back normal, and she knew something was very wrong.
Sure.
She says something must be happening on a subclinical level I can't see. And
But
that's
she was aware of it.
That's the majority of the clients I see. They get, especially the women, because I think women are just now becoming understood as something completely unique. But they feel terrible, but all their tests come back normal, and they know something's going on.
That's when they say it's all in your head.
Right,
exactly.
But also, I will say that my tests don't come back as well, as good as I feel and I am.
Yes.
You know, and so again, it goes back to what's your normal. I'm really lucky. I've been in healthcare my whole career. I started in healthcare in my early 20s, and had exposure to new things that were coming up. So I got tested and did things, and so I have baselines from 20 to 25 years earlier than a lot of people do. So you go, "Oh, your cholesterol's high," and I go, "No, it's not." My kids on their kindergarten cholesterol checks. They were told. They said, the doctor said, "You need to cut out the Happy Meals, no more bologna." And my 4-year-old son put his hands on his head. "I have never had a piece of bologna in my life. Have you met this woman?"
Oh, that's great.
I go, "Yeah, it's not diet cholesterol. It's his normal." And they're like, "Oh, okay."
There's no right.
Stress has a lot to do
Yes.
with all of these. So again, it's great to work on the physical side, which is needed. But if you don't address the emotional side and you keep up that stress over and over and you're in fight and flight constantly, the body's not going to have a chance to heal. I had a client, she had a lot of pain, discomfort in her ears and her neck and the throat, and she went to all the doctors and had everything checked, and everything was fine. She couldn't figure out what was going on. So she came back with everything good, but she was still having these experiences. And so they usually come to us last. So she came over and we just looked at what is going on, what's been happening in the last few months. And she figured out what actually triggered a memory from her childhood, which of course she had totally forgotten about. She was about 6 or 8 years old. So when we worked with that, she regressed back to childhood and realized whenever she spoke up, of course, her mother was very loving, but sometimes kids say the wrong thing and the mother says, "Shh," So the mother used to do that to her all the time. So she had spoken up at some event, and then she went home feeling so bad and feeling so sad and depressed, putting herself down. And it came back from childhood. The mother would always shush her, and a little bit rougher than I'm demonstrating. So once we went back and realized that, and I helped her to heal that and look at it a little bit differently, being a mother herself now. So that changed it, and that relaxed the whole area in her face and her neck. So the discomfort she had started healing. So
How many sessions would something like that normally take? So when you see somebody, what does one expect? Years, months, weeks?
Definitely not years.
Oh, that's a good thing.
Definitely not years. Some people, based on my experience with my clients, some people can heal in like 1 or 2 sessions. I like to have about 2 to 3 sessions because I want to make sure
there isn't something else
making the change, and could be something else. Exactly. This is when people are really open. They've kind of accepted that they have the power. Not blaming yourself, but knowing that this is my emotion. This is what this is a decision I've made, and I can change it.
Mm-hmm.
Other people are a little bit more not accepting of it, so they're so comfortable with blaming. What do you mean this is my emotion? So-and-so did that to me. So those people take a little bit longer to just let them understand by taking responsibility that they actually empower themselves. So I would say about 3 to 5 sessions.
Mhm.
It's really a good number, but definitely not years.
That's good. I believe in past lives, personally.
Yes.
I believe that we can take pain from a past life, fear from a past life. Obviously, not everybody believes in that, but do you address that? So, if somebody believes in that, and if they don't, like, how do you deal
Yes,
with that?
definitely. Again, I have personally gone through past lives, which before I didn't even know anything about it. So now it's like, wow, that stuff exists. And I've had clients who've gone through past life. I basically go where my client goes. If I'm regressing them, I don't give them the suggestion, this is in your past life or this is when you were 2 years old. I just regress them back based on what they're feeling or what they're thinking. And a lot of times they go back, most of the time they go back to being about 2-3 years old. And this is with breath work or hypnosis. So either way, or NLP. So wherever they go, I go with them. So if somebody goes back to a past life, then that's where I go with them. So even though I believe in past life, whether someone believes it or not, it doesn't matter. I have worked with people who, again, they came in not even thinking about past lives, and they were so surprised that they ended up in a past life. Many people go back to the womb. Through a lot of my breath sessions, I personally went back to the womb. For some reason, most of my healing was in the womb. So I go with wherever the person goes.
Well, we also do inherit what our mother's going through when she's pregnant.
Exactly.
So there must be a lot of healing in that moment as well.
That's very big. When people feel, I clearly remember one of my first clients, he kept saying, he was being accused with every relationship he had, that he was being accused that he's cheating on them. And he was so frustrated. He said, I'm not cheating, but I even feel I'm cheating. So when he regressed back,
Oh, that's funny.
When we discussed that, he actually remembered that his father was cheating on his mother when she was pregnant with him. So when he regressed back, he actually went back in the womb, and that's where his healing was. And I haven't talked to him for over 10 years, but once he realized that this was coming, so he was actually carrying that energy, those thoughts about himself, so that's what he was radiating to his
Yeah, that's so fascinating, right?
So yeah, that's where he had to do the healing and realize that's something inherited.
Yeah, good. So, alrighty, so I think we're closing up our session. It has been absolutely fabulous being here together with all of you. I appreciate you coming out, and I hope you listeners enjoyed it. And it was a pleasure being here, and we hope you have a wonderful night, and to talk to you next time. Thank you so much.
Thank you for
Bye,
bringing
everybody.
all of us
Thank you,
together.
Leslie.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
This has been Tell Us Your Business, where a special guest comes on every week and tells us what they do. All shows can be seen on amp2.tv, and if you wish to be a guest, call 866-224-5422 and tell us about your business. That's 866-224-5422. This has been an amp2.tv production. The opinions expressed on the preceding sponsored program were strictly those of its hosts, guests, and callers, and not necessarily those of this station, its staff, management, or sponsors.